Moving on, we had some recent news news in recent weeks that we are officially getting a third installment to the Unbreakable trilogy. There was only 17 years between the first two.
Real fast.
It's nice. It's nice.
Spoiler alert. Just letting you all know now.
Yeah, it's not spoiling the news, but more spoiling that we're going to be talking about the Unbreakable trilogy.
Which, if you haven't watched Unbreakable by this point,
well, it's not that.
That's what you
it's just
get.
the people that had no idea about.
Yeah, because it was a surprise that the second installment was even part of that.
As of right now, if you didn't turn away,
Until people saw it, they were like, it was the first time people got legitimately Shyamalama Ding Donged in a while.
yeah, like
Oh,
it's
yeah,
been a
dude.
while since we got Shyamalans.
that exploded my face right off when I saw that.
I know. I was downstairs and I was like freaking the fuck out. And Mindy was looking at me like, "What is wrong with you?" And I was like, "It's Bruce Willis. It's Unbreakable 2. It's Unbreakable 2."
Yeah,
She's like, "What are you talking
It turned
about?"
from on a dime split. Turned from a
Subpar
Well,
movie
no.
to amazing.
No, I thought
there was nothing about the movie that was subpar.
Well, no. I thought
no. It turned. I was gonna say it turned from a
I'll defend my
like a
subpar in a
thriller.
moment.
It turned from like a horror thriller into a supervillain origin story, and that I thought was like the coolest thing about that twist at the end. And
They did it so nonchalant too, and they were
Yeah.
like, "What was that guy's name?"
Mr. Glass. Well, and if you notice, like the music that started coming in at the end there was
I think-
was straight.
I think I
didn't realize.
I must
it.
have remembered it because I was like, "Oh my
started
god, I know
feeling
what's
it.
happening."
Yeah, the music that was straight off Unbreakable, and it was the same score, and it just started fading in at the end, and you're just like, I was like, what is? What I know that?
Yeah.
What's happening?
But let me justify when I said that it was kind of a letdown at first because throughout the movie, like it's leading you to think that it's one thing this whole way, that it's really just this crazy guy, and then all of a sudden he's like climbing on walls and stuff. I was like that's kind of ridiculous. But then when you realize that it's not in setting itself in a real world, it's setting itself inside this new superhero world
Where there's already an established
makes,
superhuman.
Yeah, exactly. It makes
Yeah.
it okay.
I thought it made it awesome, but I always like when people take creative concepts to get to things like superpowers, because it's like a very derivative thing overall. Like everyone's done it. Everyone's done superhero origin stories, and supervillain for that matter. But to take the concept that like it's every single personality within a person can actually have its own physicality based on like how the brain changes the biology, it's pretty fantastic. Like there was the one who had diabetes and the rest of them didn't, and stuff like that.
Yeah,
They had the story of a blind person that some had DID and some of their personalities could have vision. I mean, stuff like that. It's just it's a cool way. I think Shyamalan actually took a little bit of time to like think of that, and honestly, it said that didn't he have like he wanted that to be a character in his original.
Yeah, he was in the original screenplay for Unbreakable, but
They had to cut the
couldn't-
character
they couldn't
out.
work it in. Yeah.
Because I
And
think
to just
he
do
wanted
it
to develop it more.
17 years later with a totally different production company and everything, which that's the cool thing about M. Night Shyamalan is he owns all of his characters.
Yeah, so it didn't matter that they
And
changed
so,
production
yeah.
companies. He just had to sell it to somebody, and they can keep the universe going.
Yeah, it's really awesome.
What were your favorite things about, like, I remember Unbreakable came out I think in 1999, and I'm pretty sure I would have been 11 years old at the
I want to say it
time.
was 2000.
I was 11 or 12
yeah.
when it
yeah, I
came
was
out.
very old.
And that was way before superhero movies were a thing,
I mean, it was fresh on the heels of like X-Men.
Yeah,
And
I think that's how he got it sold.
About it, like Blade came out
Blade and
before
X-Men,
that.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, and it was the first time you're like, oh man, this is what it would really be like if it was the real world. This is so cool.
Yeah, because it was just like your average Joe guy, just a dude.
He's just a dude who hates his job.
I think
and-
even though they didn't get picked up for a sequel, it really inspired a lot of the superhero origin stories we got after that, because people started making things more realistic, when like putting it in a more realistic world, because they saw how much people liked.
and developing the characters, because that's something they did really well. Is like, I mean, at the surface, he just looks like a dude who's just pissed off all the time. Hates his life, hates his wife.
Yeah,
Did
But
he ever
he's
take that
super-
poncho off?
Yeah, he was inside.
That was kind of his
during most of the day.
superhero.
I was gonna say,
that
I
was
think
kind of
they-
his cape.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think they did that on purpose to make it kind of his cape because I don't think he ever took off.
Because that
red-
moment
Not-
where
not
he,
when
like,
he was in,
accepts his, where he
superhero
accepts
mode.
his duty, and he just like
He's at the train
in the
station.
rain, and he just like puts his arms out.
So were they?
God, it's so good.
I never saw for sure, but I'm guessing since Bruce Willis was there at the end, and that they went through a similar train station before he turned into the Beast at the end of Split. So they were in Philadelphia because that's where the original one was. I'm pretty sure.
maybe.
Like, are they in the same
know.
city? 'Cause I thought back on it, and the Beast
When he ran across-
Well, no, it was more the coolest thing about it was the Beast turned into the Beast in a train station, which is like the first time Bruce Willis ever discovered his powers was when he survived a train crash, and then when he accepted his powers was in the middle of the train station and holding his arms out, like using his spidey sense or whatever, like psychic powers to see what
Maybe
people
you're,
have done.
you could be right. Maybe that's like a little tiny Easter egg that kind of.
Yeah, I didn't think about
sneakily
it.
got overlooked.
I never thought about it until after, but it was like, so they both had a lot to do with trains. So what do you think? What do you think they're gonna do with Glass, which is officially the title of the third installment that will be coming out in 2019?
Well, I think that he kind of told us what's going to happen in Unbreakable. There's a scene in Unbreakable where Mr. Glass, Samuel L. Jackson's character's mother, is talking with is his name Kevin? Or no, Kevin is this guy from Split.
I think Daniel.
Daniel or David?
David. Yeah.
David, Bruce Willis's character. She's talking with him, and she says that in the comics, there's two types of villains. There's the soldier villain, and then there's the mastermind villain. Mm-hmm. And we now have both. And now I think that it's going to be a sense of we're going to be seeing Glass pulling strings from the inside of prison, because I'm assuming he's in prison, because I don't.
He's definitely
we're
in
gonna find
prison.
out. I think that trying to break him out of prison would be pretty difficult because he can't run, things like that. He's going to break all his bones in his body, but
The Beast could do it.
and kill him. But I mean, neither here nor there. But I think that we're in for like a really fun fucking movie.
I'm
because
really
we're gonna
interested to
get
see because
great villains, great villains. Like, when's the last time we had a great villain? Like a truly great villain.
I mean they took a whole movie to develop Kevin.
yeah.
And that's James McAvoy's character.
Because I mean, that's
It
one
just
thing
was
that
so good.
everybody says about the Marvel movies is that the villains are typically lacking.
Well, they've been developing Thanos for a decade now.
Yeah, one. He's
see
been
how
in
it
5
pays off
total
in 2
scenes over a
years.
decade.
No, I know, but at
We'll
least-
see how that pays off after we see how this pays off. That's
Well,
how
I'm just
long
saying
off
it's
that
like
is.
if
Wait,
at least-
that releases next year, doesn't it?
next year.
I'm just saying they've at least introduced them early enough that you've always kind of got a hint, like you've never been able to forget Thanos.
I think he was only in one scene in person where it wasn't a cut scene, like at the end of the movie, or wasn't
In Guardians.
Yeah, in Guardians when he was talking to them. Well, I'm sure he'll show up in Guardians.
So I
too.
think he's been in a total of 3 scenes, including that one. 2
It's either
cut
3 or
end
4, I
scenes,
think, isn't it?
2 end scenes, and then in the middle of Guardians.
He was technically in 2 scenes in Guardians because there was a second scene where he was talking to him over the video.
So yeah, 4. So you got Avengers 1, Avengers 2, and then Guardians.
Yeah,
It's
I
exciting.
think he'll end up like. I mean, Thanos isn't gonna die in one movie like all the other villains in Marvel. I think he'll be around for at least 2. So 2 big movies with the next Avengers as well. So maybe they'll actually take some time to develop him. Yeah.
What are your guys' thoughts? Like, what do you guys agree with my thesis of how the
I agree.
sequel's gonna go?
I do agree, but I also am just interested to see how they even would know each other, how they even would come to know each other. I mean, if this guy's been in prison for almost 2 decades now, and like how would Kevin? If you'd have to think Kevin would be the one to initiate the contact, maybe, or maybe he had just had a way of tracking. I don't know.
Well, if you think about it, I mean, if people in a diner are able to make like comparisons between the characters, who's to say that
Well, I'm sure he saw him on the news.
Yeah.
Or Mr. Glass probably saw him on the news or something.
They might catch
Yeah.
him
And
too,
tracks
like
him
when
down.
he's not the Beast, and then he's maybe like they meet in prison or something like that, or if they're in a psych ward or something, and that's when they start communicating and realize This guy can change his body to what he wants to.
That would be a good one.
Because that's
That'd
a
be
big
cool
thing.
way to
Is
do it.
That's a good
because he's able
point.
to change his body to what he needs to. I mean, because he changed to was it Kevin or
Kevin was the actual
Kevin was the
actual
actual basically. He was
body, the actual person.
oh, okay, that's right. But you know, it's like, but
Dennis was
is
the like OCD
Because we got to
guy.
talk, talking about all the personalities. James McAvoy's performance in that movie,
Oh man, that's some of the best acting I've
fucking
seen.
amazing.
yeah.
Oh man, when he was
You always knew when somebody was coming.
Yeah,
when he turned into Patricia was my favorite because like she was the creepiest character and he would just you could see it in his face like she looked like the like almost psychotic nun that just had like was so
He even kind of like
faith.
said when this like weird little hand thing, and
She had so much faith in her beliefs that she was willing to do whatever, like kill for her beliefs. She just like exuded that, and I hated that one.
yeah.
it's just such a cool idea the way they came up with that. Like you were saying, how they came up with giving this person superpowers. It almost made it seem like maybe it's a real thing. Like I know it's not when they were like when people had developed personalities.
I know. I was like, man, I didn't know that about this.
Like there was like one of the
I was like, oh, okay,
like one of the examples was somebody like in different personalities. Somebody was allergic to bee stings and the other wasn't.
I haven't done a lot of research on that, but if he took any of these wild stories and turned them into like a super villain, like Kevin, that's just awesome. The Beast, especially the Beast. Oh man, I actually really like your theory. They're probably gonna end up catching him and throwing him into jail. Or not jail, but into a psych ward where Mr. Glass is the mass murderer.
I don't think they'd be putting him in prison.
Then
they don't have to worry about him breaking out.
Yeah, and then he'll turn back into the Beast while he's in prison and break out of that.
I think he'll be in like a white roomed, just psych ward all by himself, all alone, sitting in his little wheelchair, and they're gonna somehow meet in there.
One of my favorite ideas I had for this sequel was there's going to be a part where Bruce Willis can't really catch him because he thinks he's going to try and use that little power he has to like touch him and see what they've done wrong, and it'll be like Hedwig. That'll be the personality at that time. So he's like, oh, he's just a child, or you might even see like images of him as he thinks he is as Hedwig, like images of an actual 9-year-old boy. Just being and seeing that, and he's like, "What is going on here?" Or even cooler, you remember how he described all his personalities as like sitting in a room together, just sitting on chairs, and then there was a light that one person could step into to take it. What if he sees the room? What if he sees that room with the light, and he sees all 23 personalities as their own distinct physical?
Talked about this.
You could see like a whole scene of these 23 people just like arguing and pissed off, or maybe some of them are dead because the Beast gets rid of them.
Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah. Like by the time the movie comes back, or when we get that third installment, maybe by that point there is only like 3 or 4 personalities left, and the Beast has killed them all off.
The non-believers.
I just really hope that whoever is making the movie and giving the money just doesn't give him too much money, because M. Night Shyamalan has been known to shit the bed with like a big budget. Split was made with $9 million, and it made over $275 million.
Yeah, don't let him Michael Bay it.
Yeah.
Don't just give him unlimited money.
Yeah. I think it could be in danger of that, because it's bringing back a lot of like when people realized it was an Unbreakable sequel, there was just a huge like uproar. Oh my God, are they making a 3? They got to make a 3, and everyone was just so excited about it.
Yeah,
it was hard to get away from the it was being spoiled like the day it came out.
Like, no,
people were like, oh my God, the Shyamalan twist.
Luckily, I just heard that it was one of the best Shyamalan twists, and so like I didn't draw the connection, and I was so glad that it wasn't spoiled for me.
It was a little spoiled for me because they said there was a connection to Unbreakable, but I thought that was just gonna be like a nod to it. But when it was actually Bruce Willis at the end, it was and there was the whole thing about it being a sequel and him mentioning Mr. Glass. It was just that blew me away still, because I didn't know that it was actually a sequel. I just thought it was like a.
I feel like I wasn't.
Talk about
like,
it.
The more I think about it, I feel like I wasn't actually super blown away. I think it took me like a good minute to be like, oh, that's what that is. Because it's literally, I think it's been probably 10 years since I've seen that movie.
The weird thing about
actually-
it is I watched it. I want to say like a year ago. Like
I watched it 3 months
randomly.
ago because I was just like was thinking about it. I'm like, man, I have not seen that movie in a while.
I've thought about it a lot because I've referred people to watch that movie. It's because it's a really good movie that almost gets looked over a lot because it's so old now.
Yeah.
But I think I've seen
holds up.
I've seen
Still
snippets
holds
of it because it's probably been on FX or TNT or something, and I've watched the beginning of it and then changed the channel or fell asleep for the end of it.
Yeah.
Because I remember a lot of what happened in it. I know I wouldn't remember that vividly if it's been 10 years, but
Anyway, yeah, that's our hopes for that.